All right, let's discuss Underlord, Book 6 in the Cradle series by Will Wight. Okay, gonna start off with the good things like I always do. So, lot of there's a lot of really good emotional moments in this book between Lyndon and Yaren and making their way towards Underlord. I really like I Will does a really good job with training, like which I mean I don't know about you guys, but I know for myself that I find training sequences pretty interesting. Just because like when it's done well, we get to see these characters get more powers. We get to see them, advance, and we get to see them use those powers later on. And it just makes when they like finally get, that good like that moment in the end, like in the fight, amazing. Just that setup and payoff is really really good and really really satisfying. Um, I'm gonna just say this now before I go any further. There will be spoilers in this review, because at this point in the series, I need to be specific in some things that I'm talking about. I can't just generalize. Um, so if you don't want any spoilers, if you haven't read book 6, come back and then maybe we can talk about it then. But leave now. Okay, 3, 2, 1, gone. Okay, so uh, some things I really liked at the end were I really liked how I like how the battle goes. Um, we get the perspective of the other side in this, and I love how it's kind of like the last battle just has so many good setups from like throughout the book that it's just like very satisfying, and it does set up wow, I can't even speak, antagonists. Wow, there we go. For the future. I mean, we'll see how those pay off, but um, one I really liked getting Charity's perspective in this book. There, it's good to get a character like Charity because like for Lynn and Yaren, right? We're close in. We're seeing what they see. I mean, that's how you see it, most characters in close third person, but uh, they're more in the mix of things. We don't get the overarching view. We don't know what else is going on behind the scenes, right? Whereas Charity, she knows that information. So when we get a chapter from her perspective or even a scene from her perspective, we get to see everything that's going on behind the scenes. And that like sometimes that can be occasionally that can be bad because you want to leave some mystery for the reader to figure out. But in this case, and in a lot of cases, it's really good because it gives us context to work with. It gives us context to understand why Lyndon and Yaren's struggles are so important to this book. Now, this is a big spoiler. So, one of the most emotional things that I felt in this, well, not even just this book, but this series, was when the moment when Orthos leaves to find his own way, because he's basically advanced as far as him and Lyndon are on equal terms now, and he can't go any further like this, so he has to go find his own path. And I was like, ooh, that one hit. And those hit, that's when you've got some good writing, because if you're feeling something, he's not dying, he's not he's just leaving the party and going somewhere else to do some work. And um I really like that. And I believe, yeah, it is at the end of this book that we get. So I really hope you've left if you don't want spoilers. At the end of this book, we get that moment with Orthos and Lyndon's sister. And I was like living for that. That was awesome. I love those types of things coming back. And like, it's been 6 books since, well, not 6 books, 5 books since we've seen Lyndon's home. And I'm just like, yes, I'm glad we're tying this back. Okay, let's do some critiques now. This book is set up. That's what this book is. Okay, it's got a story in it. It closes out with a conflict again, which is okay. Sometimes it's okay to not have fights as your final conflicts, but honestly, these books are kind of just fun, and that kind of makes them, I'm living for it in these, but there are other forms of conflict besides just fights. But mostly this feels like Lyndon and Yaren set up for the Uncrowned tournament, which we know they're going to go. So there's no question they're going to make Underlord. But it's not necessarily a hard critique. It's just mostly like this in the Uncrowned tournament book could kind of be one book, but like when you really think about it, like a lot of fantasy books like that are, these epic fantasy books like Wheel of Time or Stormlight Archives, like Stormlight Archives is like Rhythm of War is like 5 parts. And that's basically kind of what these books are. They're each a part. They're not one book on their own. They're kind of like a collection, which is totally fine. It's a different way to present your work. Okay, I harped on this in the last review. I'm gonna harp on it more. I want to see more of Mercy. She's been a character for 3 books. I want more. I want to see her. I want to see these moments with her, and it's like, I feel like every, like, Yaren and Athan and Lyndon, Lyndon's the main character, so it's much easier to flesh him out. But like, Athan pops in and out. He's not always there. He's so descriptive. I instantly know his character, but I don't feel like I know Mercy. I know that she, a few things about her, but I want to know more. We need these short character moments with her where we just take a step back from all the fighting, all the intensity of training and like this, and we just have who is she? And what is, like, how does she interact with some of these other characters? What does she think? What does she feel? I know it's going to come up. But it's like, this has been, if you introduce a character and she's kind of interesting and like draws the reader's attention like she did in Skysworn, you need to give us more. You can't expect a reader to keep caring about a character if they don't have a reason to care about her. So again, does that make this book bad? No. This book is still pretty good. And by pretty good, I mean like it's a fun read. But it's something that, like, and it's fine. Like, writers have a lot going on. There's a lot to keep track of. It's not just plot threads get dropped. Characters fall through the cracks. Things don't get talked about as much as you would hope they do. But it just, like, if I were like reading through this as a beta reader for Will, this is something I would have pointed out immediately, is I want more of that. I need more of her. I need to know who she is. It's been 3 books, right? I mean, we still got more about her versus the other 2, but like it's not enough now, because now there's just all this like clouded, like, who is she, what's going on with her, and it's like you can't expect a reader to keep hanging on to that. You need to give them answers. Overall, this book wasn't the best, wasn't the worst of the series, but the big thing was I felt like there was a lot of missed opportunities. A lot of things that could have been in. And again, that doesn't make it bad. That doesn't mean I'm like mad that there's missed opportunities. Those happen, It's just like sometimes you've got to be critical even of things you like. So one thing that's important is I went through this series really quick. Really quick. I know these reviews are probably, these reviews, I release a review a week for books, and So they're coming out a lot slower. But I went through the series probably in about 2 weeks, maybe 3. That's a lot of reading. But it kept me engaged most of the time. The one bad thing about this book, and it kind of happened with Skysworn too, is like Ghostwater was really great. When I'm doing this, I already know what happens in Uncrowned. Uncrowned was pretty good. I would say definitely a lot better than this. This book is in the middle of 2 other good books because it's kind of a setup book. And so it kind of disappears into the background. It doesn't stand out as like, wow, this is the book, you know. But the thing is like these books are all so short. They're just one book. I mean, they're just one. I mean, they're one series, but they really could be like some of them could be combined together to be one book. I think that it makes it easier to market like this, especially to people who aren't into epic fantasy normally, because you know, not everyone wants to read a 1,200-page book like some of the Stormlight Archive books. They'd rather sit down and be able to read something in, a couple days because people don't have that much time. But I mean, it is kind of a downside of this. Like it floats into the background. It doesn't like the moments don't. Other than the Orthos moment, oh man, that one was good. But they kind of slide in. They kind of they don't really like stand out as much as they could if it was kind of its own contained thing. I'm okay with it, but it's just kind of like a thing. So again, if you like my videos, please like, subscribe. If you agree, disagree, want to talk about it more, have opinions to share, comment down below. I totally want to hear like what other people think about these books and stuff like that. I like to discuss and talk. I just ask that you be polite. Just don't be a jerk. It's not that hard. You can have disagreements with other people, and we can be perfectly pleasant and have a good conversation. So, all right, that's it for this one. I will see you guys next time.